Welcome back to Alpine Garage Sports, folks. Today we are in the garage because almost every day we're in the garage except for when we're at CU, and this is no different. I am your host, Chris, and we are going to be talking today about the scholarship numbers that we have from beginning of before Prime came until now and the flip-flop that's going on. Now, oddly enough, I was in the process of kind of putting all of this together when, very good timing, Adam Munstertiger from 247 Sports, he has a website called Buffs Stampede. And if you haven't seen that, you need to go to Buffs Stampede. And they have the ability to actually become a subscriber to their website. And I suggest that you do that because he puts out a lot of really good information. Sometimes it's breaking news. Sometimes he's the first on it. A lot of times it's just a lot of insight into Colorado football because he's been there for over 2 decades. And he came up with what he called the Colorado Buffaloes Transfer Tracker 2.0. Now, in this, he breaks down all of the scholarships in and out for the entire year, including last season. The end of last season, we lost a few people during season, and then obviously lost to people directly after season, right before Prime got here. Then we lost a lot of people right after Prime got here. Then we started picking up people. Prime brought a lot of people in. And he actually put numbers to that. So I wanted to go over that today. Wanted to give Adam much credit for this because in the process of doing this, it was like I had 2 spreadsheets that I had built trying to keep track of it. And he basically took care of everything. So thank you very much, Adam, for that. When we're talking about 85 scholarships starting out, which is what we have in Division I football, we had 85 going into last season. Now, obviously, we had not a very good season. And people started to shake out as time went on. We obviously lost our coach, Carl Durrell, and we got an interim coach. People started to get shaky and started to shake out. We were rotating through quarterbacks like crazy. We had 3 scholarships fall out. So that's 85 minus 3. I'm going to keep a little tracker over on the side here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Then at the end of the season, we had 19 Buffs that had ended their career at that point. So we're talking about a lot of seniors on this team. Now here comes the big number, 50 scholarship players. From November the 28th until now, we've lost 50 scholarship players. And by watching some of my videos, you'll know some of those were a surprise, definitely, because I thought that they were good enough from last year's team to continue their development with the new coaching staff and a new scheme to actually make a push with this program. They decided obviously different and moved on, and so there we're at. Now those were 50 players. I think some of the most notable ones, at least for me, and I think a lot of people, were like Deion Smith, Jordan Tyson, Montana Lamonius Craig, obviously I think was the biggest one. They got the most news. Those guys I did not expect to leave, quite honestly. I thought they would stick it out and be able to be coached into this new program. But, that they're gone. That's part of the 50 that's out. When I was talking about this originally, I had to kind of put myself into my business frame of mind. And part of what I do, at least in the history of what I do, is go into businesses and turn them around. And a lot of these businesses were failing for a lot of reasons. And sometimes it was because of the people, and sometimes it was because of the business practices. But it takes someone to be able to go in there and understand exactly what's happening and be able to pick apart the parts of the business that aren't good and replace those with either good habits, good policies. And if it's the people, it's literally replacing the people from scratch in a lot of cases. And in this particular case, Deion decided that the entire program, probably along with Rick George and a few other people, also decided that, the entire program has probably just wasted away all the way down to the roots in some cases. And so we have to put all new people in, try new cultures, and develop a new culture for the business. And by doing that, you're not only going to be able to turn over the positive attrition, which is the people that are probably dragging your business down, or the ones that will not be coached into doing something the way that you want them to, but also you're going to lose probably some pretty good people just because of the fact that the change is just too hard for them. So in that particular case, we had, I think, some of that. I think there was a mixture of both things, but that's okay because at that point you have a clean slate, you have new policies and new direction, you have a new vision about where you want this football team to go. And then you start putting people in place from other organizations. And before they walk through the door, you say, before you start anything that you brought with you needs to be left at the door because we are starting from scratch. And as you can tell by the way that the other players left, this is not going to be easy. Change is not easy. What we do here, rebuilding a program and building it into a top Power 5 school, is not going to be easy. So if you want to be that guy, understand right now that this is what we expect from you. It wasn't like that with the old players. The old players sitting in the players' room there with coach, they had a lot to digest and a lot of things that were probably went unresolved. Plus, you have to subtract one because one guy was kicked off the team. Deuce Robinson was kicked off the team. And if you haven't seen the headlines on that, I've been asked several times to do a video on that. I'm not going to do a video on that. And the reason why is because that has nothing to do with our football program. His personal life, I actually happen to be very close to this story, close enough to where I think I would be doing a very big disservice bringing you more information that's already been put into the media, because this doesn't need any speculation. Obviously, he had to go because he's got to resolve his personal issues, and we've got to build a team. So -1. So that's kind of where we're at. So 50 players out. And I understand completely. I've consolidated that myself personally, and I'm ready to start rebuilding this. So let's get into the rebuilding part. Let's start adding some scholarships. Now we get to add. So plus 21. We had 21 new transfers come in with Prime. The obvious ones are Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders. I could go on down the line, guys, but you know who these folks are. All of these guys that were brought in, or I should say all -4, because we're going to talk about -4 in a second. All but 4 ended up being really good for this program. And I think they're going to help transform this program. So when he say he brought his Louis luggage, this is the Louis luggage that he brought along with the 2023 and 2024 prospects that are going to be coming as well. And then we have a lot of transfers coming in the summer, which we'll get to in a second. Now, out of that, 4 have fallen out. We know the most notable one was Seydu, who just left not too long ago. There's a lot of unanswered questions with that. I know going into the spring game, everybody was asking, where's Seydu, where's Seydu? We know that Coach Brewster was not completely happy with his output. So I think those two things together, he decided that maybe this isn't the place for him. There's a whole lot of stuff about blocking out there, a whole lot of stuff about grades out there. I mean, that could be some of it. But honestly, at this point, it doesn't really matter because he didn't want to be here. And so now he's gone, and we are getting people to replace him that probably fit the program better. Now, plus 17. We have 17 summer transfers coming in. 17 summer transfers coming in. That's Cavassier Smoke, Xavier Weaver, Willie Gaines, Savell Smalls, which we talked about just a little bit ago. Now we have 3 JUCO guys coming as well. And these 3 JUCO guys look like, this is where the comment section, not on this channel, because the comment section on this channel is stellar. You guys are you're very astute. You understand with the protocol for asking questions and giving information without insulting people, and I very much appreciate that, by the way. But when I go on other forums, there's a lot of nastiness in there about JUCO and the fact that, is this the Louis luggage? And the only thing I would say to that, and I answered a few of these folks, but I don't get into battles in any forum, whether it be Bronco forums or football forums or any forums, because we get into personal attacks at that point, and I don't need to change someone's mind. I like to tell my perspective, but I'm not necessarily trying to change someone's mind on this program. But there is value everywhere. Like I said before, a lot of people were saying, the guys that left, oh, that's a 1-11 team. They sucked. All those guys sucked, and they're terrible, and all of them had to go. And I'm the ones out there saying, no, guys, I'm telling you, there is some very good, talented people on this team last year. But the problem was not everybody was that quality. The coaching was not great. And really, the coaching flipped in the middle of the year. Tell me a program that is successful when you flip any coaching during the middle of a season. The schemes were not good. We couldn't keep players in positions very long. I mean, I could go down the list. This is the reasons why we sucked last year. But I will tell you that there is a good portion of our team that had we had better coaching and better schemes and better opportunities, we would have not been a 1-11 team last year. Same thing with these JUCO guys. So some guys don't show out in high school like others do. They don't get the stage. Maybe they're a little bit small. They go to JUCO, they go to some of these other small universities, and they get actual real coaching. They work out, they build up, they put on weight, they build speed, and then the next thing you know, they are high quality candidates for a D1 football team. So you will never out of my mouth hear anything about players coming from an HBCU or players coming from Division II or players coming from JUCO, because I firmly believe, as you guys know, when I'm talking about like Charlie Offerdahl, I firmly believe in the fact that there is talent out there that no one can see. The best example is Tom Brady. I mean, he almost went undrafted and he became the greatest quarterback of all time. So those stories are everywhere. You could pick out 100 of those stories. Philip Lindsay is a great story for CU. You can't discount what these guys are doing coming out of smaller universities. The next thing you know, these JUCO guys may be the best guys on our team, and they've just been underestimated and undercoached. We have the best coaching in the country right now. I believe it firmly. Now we're going to add 6, so plus 6 signees for the spring out of high school. These are the guys that started early. They left high school a semester early and started in college, getting a head start on the 23 summer commits that we have, which is going to be the next number that we're going to throw out. Probably the most notable one is going to be Dylan Edwards on that. And Dylan Edwards looks like, just in the spring game alone, looks like he could be a year one starter for us. We have Cavassier Smoke coming in the summer, transferring from Kentucky. And so you'll have your Thunder and Lightning there. And then we have some pretty good running backs behind them as well. One of those being Charlie Offedall. Now we have 11 2023 high school players that are going to be coming during the summer as well. So we're talking about total 2023 freshmen coming in is going to be 17. So you've already seen now we are a very young group. And I'm going to go through those numbers here in a second so you can kind of see what the numbers look like from senior to freshman, and you can see how we're loaded. But even though we're bringing in transfers, that are in their sophomore, junior, senior season, some grad transfers, we're still really heavy on the young end, which is good for us building for 24 and 25, which is really where I think the money should be anyway. And then that leaves 12 scholarship Buffaloes from last year. And so CU Buffs fans that are on this channel will recognize these names. Obviously, Hankerson. We have Trevor Woods is coming back, Hurtado and Ham. So we have quite a few guys, 12 guys, I say. We have 12 guys that are coming from last year, still carrying that Colorado core. They're going to help us kind of solidify this team and help build the culture there. So at the end of the day, that's 19 scholarships that need to be filled. So let's go ahead and say that one of them has already been filled for Charlie, because Charlie's going to take one of those 19 scholarships. So now we have 18 scholarships. Right now, the people that we're looking at that are in the portal that are potentially coming to CU, there are 21 of them. And that's the 21 that are listed right now on the Buffs Stampede website. Some of the most notable ones are Alton McCaskill from Houston. Obviously, a very, very skilled runner. Obviously, a skill player. Over 1,000 yards in 2021, coming off of an injury. So hopefully he's gotten over that injury and actually become stronger, which in a lot of cases happens. And we'll have a really powerful guy there running and catching. Jaquay Jackson had a very prolific year last year, 77 catches for 1,178 yards. And of course, EJ Horton, also a great receiver. I mean, we have a lot of receivers on this. I mean, Shane Hooks is on this. Cody Epps is on this list. And there are 5 defensive linemen on this list as well, which we really need defensive linemen. So hopefully we can get some of these guys in here. So that's 18 scholarships that we need to fill, and they're going to work overtime over the summer to get these filled. Some of these will fall shortly, and some of these will take a little bit longer. But I can't imagine that a lot of these guys that are thinking about committing to CU would want to wait very long, because someone needs to call them and say, hey, if you're thinking about coming to Colorado, altitude is a thing. It takes 60 days to become fully acclimated to altitude here. You can do pretty well in 30 days as long as you're training hard. That drop dead date's going to be at the end of June at that point. We got to get them in here soon. We got to get them acclimated. We got to get them gelled in with the rest of the team. And honestly, the coaches, with turning over almost an entire team, needs every single day they can with these player practices to get this team to know each other and trust each other and help infuse that culture in them. So that's why you're seeing these coaches flying everywhere. They're flying everywhere right now. They're getting their name out there, and they're getting us some players to fill the rest of this roster. Now, I told you at the end of this we would talk about how we're rating from senior to freshman. As it sits today, we've got 7 seniors. We've got 23 juniors. We've got 2 redshirt freshmen, essentially sophomores. And then we've got 17 true freshmen coming in. So you can see how that breakdown looks. It's pretty even split between upper and lower classmen. Looking at the guys that we're looking at to fill those 18 to 19 scholarships, there's a lot of seniority in there. We may actually be a little bit more of a senior team this year than I had previously thought that we would, which is going to bode well for us this year because we want those 19 underclassmen to be able to learn underneath these really experienced guys. And that's going to help us in 24 and 25 when we have our 24 and 25 commits in as well. And we can actually start this program again, redshirting sophomore and junior year, and then going to the NFL early. And then we start that cycle over again. It just keeps self-feeding like Georgia and Alabama. It would be great if we could get Colorado here, and it looks like Coach Prime is at it. So I want to say thank you very much to Adam Munster Tiger. You broke this down in a way that's hard for anybody to really do other than you. And for those of you who have not checked out this website, it's buffstampede.com. Thanks for hanging out with me for this video, breaking this stuff down for you. We'll see you in the next video. And if you haven't already heard, we coming.